live. Um, we sorry for that break in the internet. Good evening, everybody. Again, once more, welcome to. Um, Good evening, everybody, and welcome again. We are deeply sorry for that break in the internet. We hope you will join us again. Although, as at now, we have zero viewers. Before the break, we had 11 people we are viewing. However, we shall kick off the program. Uh, Let me go back to studio. Okay, here we go. Okay, so are you? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and
Okay,
clear.
we are live now. Welcome again. Sorry for that interruption in the internet. Welcome again, Mr. Abdulai. So before we start the program, as I've said earlier on, we would like to use this opportunity, sir, to express sincere gratitude for and on behalf of the Law Society to you for the service you've rendered to us over the years. We want to use this opportunity to say thank you very much.
Thank you to everyone. I mean, it's always a honor to serve, particularly young people who are aspiring to be lawyers. So I'm quite excited.
Okay.
Mhm.
Mr. Saffa Abdulai, this evening, as students of the law department, we want to be inspired by you. So take us through your journey of life. I mean, who's Mr. Emmanuel Saffa Abdulai?
Mhm. So thank you. This is a very interesting question. I often find it difficult to talk about my background, but it's always interesting to talk about my own background and my upbringing because I think it will inspire other people. So in the past, a lot of people thought for you to be a lawyer, you have to come from a very well established family. You have to have had your parents being lawyers or something. Unfortunately, or fortunately for me, none of those descriptions actually fit me because I never came from, I mean, I did not, my parents were not lawyers. I am not from a prominent family. And as you know, many a times people ask me, are you related to the former minister, Michael Abdulai? And I will quickly say no. Because I'm just trying to say, no, I'm trying to do my part. So Saffa Abdulai, basically, I always tell my colleagues that I'm a village boy. I came from Kailam. I mean, basically, I was living in the village with my mother and my father, and then my father died, and then I had to come to Freetown to stay with my aunt on Fort Street.
Okay.
So I grew up on Fort Street primarily. I went to primary school and secondary school. I won't say I was very, very brilliant, but I was, practically doing my own bit in school. I managing to pass exams, if that is what you call manage. But I sat to the O levels. Funnily, I got a very good grade. Then no, I sat to the selective entrance. And those days when you sit to the selective entrance, it was really difficult. It's not like now when people get 300 plus. Those days when you get 270, 280, you're a very top student. So I got 274 for Albert Academy. Unfortunately, I couldn't go to Albert Academy because I didn't have the resources. Albert
Oh,
Academy was meant for the creme de la creme.
oh
So
my God.
I never went to Albert Academy. That was my greatest, it's been one of the greatest regrets in my life because I grew up on Fort Street and the only school you would think about was Albert Academy up the hills.
Obviously.
So when I missed the top of the mountain, I fell on the bottom of at the foot of the mountain. Eventually, I got myself through friends into government model secondary school. It wasn't a
Okay.
problem getting government model secondary school with my selective entrance result. Um, and I started going to model. As usual, it was quite an interesting journey. Model when I when I went to model, some of us were really good students, and so we stood out. And I spent 5 years in government model. I took the O levels. I again applied to go to Albert Academy to do my sixth form, and I then applied to two schools actually. Then I had learned not to put my egg in one basket.
Obviously.
Applied to go to Albert Academy to do my sixth form, and and then also applied for to go to um, Centennial Secondary School.
Okay. So
Both schools admitted me, so I mean, I had a good O levels, obviously, and when I say obviously, it wasn't obvious as it was. O level was also kind of a difficult thing, just like WAS is or Becker is. It was pretty much changed. Um, I went for the interview at Albert Academy. They admitted me, and they said, then Albert Academy was having a lot of problems with infrastructures. They said, well, if all students admitted that Albert Academy should bring their own desk and chairs, and they should pay, I think it was 31 leons. I don't remember. It was 31 something. I don't think it was 31,000. Either it was 31 leons or it wasn't 31,000.
So
Uh,
when I missed the top of
31,
the mountain, I
31 leons was a lot of money for me to raise. And then I went to St. Edwards. I got the interview. St. Edwards did not ask me to buy a chair and a table, and they only asked me to pay my school fees. So bingo, I went to St. Edwards rather than Albert Academy. Again, I missed out on Albert Academy. So twice I missed out on going to Albert Academy. And so even now I keep sulking at not having gone to Albert Academy. But as fate will have it, I went to to Old Edward to Edwards, St. Edward's Secondary School, where I did 2 years. I was school prefect, St. Edward, leading one of the LNDS societies and contested for the presidency at LNDS, and I lost. Um,
student
we
politics.
took, yeah, I lost the elections. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it was obvious that I was going to lose. It wasn't like it was more about when we took the exam, when we conducted the elections. There were two camps, two predominant camps, which I didn't belong to any one of them. Was the original old Edwardians? They call themselves the blue-blooded Edwardians, and the other guys who came from both school to Edwards. So they're fighting amongst themselves. And I was the third force, practically saying, let us look at quality and who can speak better English, who can represent the
The kind of
school.
Yumkela of
You
that
know,
time.
well, it was really the kind of Yumkela of that time. And
Yeah.
I thought that was the message. And we're speaking all kinds of English and grammar. And eventually I lost the elections, actually. But that was okay. It was a good training ground because then the L&Ds will allow you to speak off the cuff. It will allow you to read news, to follow current affairs. And it was Edward. Edward was known for being, sixth form of Edwards was known, I mean, regionally, that it was a very good school. So
Oh,
long and short story.
that's
Sorry.
so inspiring. That's so inspiring. I wanted to stop you.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
You mentioned the Albert Academy that you missed attending the Albert Academy, and because I'm an academician, so how was it? Because this keeps happening to so many of us. How is it when you miss out on something in your track of in your timeline, your life timeline? What's the feeling? How what will you say to us? For example, now, so
I,
most of us at first instance wanted to do law, but because of our was, and then the law department was looking for a B3 in English or better, but some of us had C4, some had C5, some had C6, so we had to go to our first degrees. So what is it like missing out on the Albert Academy at the O level at the selective entrance?
it was quite disappointing, really. First thing first, like I said, I grew up loving Albert Academy. I before I sat to selective entrance, I could sing the school song. People
Wow.
around me were academicians, and we all wanted to go to Albert Academy. Fort Street by State House to Albert Academy was shorter than going down to Pintong. Edwards was a school in passing. We used to just say the schools down the bay. That's the way we used to call them. Even though we'd never been to Albert Academy, we'd take inside. It was quite disappointing. But I was a young man. I mean, you will be disappointed for a few days, and the next day you're on the street playing football, and that was it. And then I got to government model. I was excited, and un- unfortunately, model is a mixed school. So there were a lot of ladies around, and growing up, and you met ladies in class, you very excited. So that eventually wiped out my tears. But when I took the O levels, I was really, really disappointed because I thought I want to go to Albert Academy. And from Albert Academy, I would just go up the hills to FBC. And it didn't happen,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Okay.
So that was sad.
Okay. So are you?
Then I went to Edwards.
This is
Edwards was good. I think Edwards was better off. I
okay.
think
Good. This is an obvious question, though. Are you an alumnus
the
of?
sixth form, yeah,
Are
yeah.
you an alumnus of Froggie College?
Yes, sir. In fact, I will always say I spent the longest time. I've spent one of the longest time at Froggie College.
So take us through your journey at
I
Froggie
went to
College.
After. So I took the A levels
Good.
at St. Edwards. I mean, it was one of the best A levels that Sierra Leone has ever seen. Our squad was very good. I mean, Edwards got the best result in West Africa. Patrick Kombal was the guy who got, I think he got AAAB. I got AABC. And people got good grades. Really, we were all good grades. So we knew we were going to go to Froggie College. And but then we had applied to Froggie College and we were not admitted. I mean, I had applied to Froggie College. I applied to two departments. I applied to art and law. Then I wasn't admitted for law. Even though I had the sound O and A levels, I wasn't admitted for law. There were all kinds of stories about conspiracy stories about because you don't have the background, you don't have someone to talk for you, you know. But I just thought that it was basically fate, you know, divine intervention that I wasn't really um, going to be in the school. I mean, in law school. So I went to study English language and sociology. Um, but because of my A levels in October, we were asked to move from year one to year two. So the same year that we went, we were in the first year, and then we were asked to go to the intermediate year. So I thought because I've done 2 years in O levels, even though the time frame was short, it was October, November, December, January for exams. I thought I could take the challenge. There are about 60 of us who were given the exemption, and and only about 8 of us took the challenge because a lot of people were scared. There was FBC and people were intimidated. But we eventually went to year two. That means I did not actually do year one. I went to year two, and then um, year two finished and went to year three. And the question was, do I still have to go back to law or do I just finish my undergrad? So I decided I was going to finish my undergrad. So I went to year three and I went year four and I finished my degree in English language and sociology. Then I had a scholarship to go to Oxford. So that year I went to Oxford where
Wow.
I studied media law and it was a 1 year, well, basically 8 month program, media law and comparative media law and policy advocacy. Then I came back and then I went to law school. I went back to Froggie College to do law. Again, because when I was also an undergrad, I studied a lot of law. Basically, in my elective, I had studied law. I did electives of law, constitutional law, um, contract law, criminal law. I was also exempt from year one when I came to law department. I have first degree. I did law modules, and Mr. Wright was very clear that you, Nene Jalo, Cassandra Labor, you are qualified, not to sit in year one because you already done the basics of law. So you
Yes.
could see that I spent 3 years for studying English language, and I spent 3 years studying law. So it was 6 years. And all throughout that 6 years, I was involved in student politics. I think I was the second president of the Law Society, this position which you're holding. Ibrahim Eskama was the first president. I was the second president. And during my time, I set up one of the best libraries at FBC, Law Society Library, at Block H. I got a lot of books from the special court and brought it and opened a library. Later on, those books were stolen anyways, but it was a good library and it was kind of a project that we thought we could do.
Okay.
So life was good at FBC. We were involved in politics. I joined the Froggie College Human Rights Clinic, which I am still trying to resuscitate now because I think it's died out. I'm trying to be the supervisor and resuscitate the Human Rights Clinic. And in the Law Society, I decided not to join social club. I was politically active. I was also a political candidate. At one point I was a candidate for the black man camp, and the election never helped. So most of my colleagues still call me the president that never was. It's very interesting, but because I thought I was going to win because I was popular, I had credentials, and there was no problem standing out to speak, and it never helped. So finished
So,
law.
so, so
Then once I finished my law degree, I got another scholarship. I went to Central European University in Budapest, and I did a master's in international human rights law. I
okay.
came back and I went to law school. You see, so here is the point. The point why I'm trying to connect this. I have said to you guys who are watching, I came from nowhere. I didn't have a family that was very rich, but you could see my surgeon. Yeah, I could see that I have been going to places, and the only reason why I was going to places were two things. One, I I could go out for information, like look for anything. The internet had been introduced in Sierra Leone. I was always on the internet. I'm looking for schools and looking for opportunities. But also at a very early age at FBC, I had joined the Froggie College Human Rights Clinic. I was a leading human rights activist. I wasn't a leader of a social club. I never joined any of the clubs, of the social clubs. And there's nothing wrong with joining those social clubs because it's part of your rite of passage. But I never joined, but I focused on being a human rights activist. That actually made a case for me to go to Oxford. I was a serious guy. He was president of the Human Rights Clinic, president of the Law Society. So it was easy to see that I was a serious guy. And then he gave me the same scholarship, the OSJI scholarship, Judge Sorias scholarship to Central European University.
Okay.
So it's a good thing when you're on campus to actually participate in some of these things.
Okay, let me hold you there. So you've mentioned student politics. I may want to dwell into that a little bit. You said
Absolutely.
yes, you said you were a former president of the Law Society, former president of the Human Rights Clinic. How did you manage to balance that with your
Mm-hmm.
academics?
Um, so very interesting question. The Human Rights Clinic was demanding. You have to attend meetings. You have to do human rights work. We did human rights education on campus. We also had an opportunity, not an opportunity. We had opportunities to to do internship. So during the long holidays, we got internship. We were placed in. I went to special courts and I went to the TRC, Truth and Reconciliation Commission, at that point in time, and then essentially it was demanding, but at the same time, I was a matured student. So just imagine I had gone to from sixth form. I got a good A levels, and I come to study English and sociology. So I was a very matured student, pretty young, but a matured student. A couple of people were in the same category, so study was not a problem. Well, law department was very intimidating. It was always like you have to study, you have to pass, you know. But I try to balance it, and but most of the times I think it was my studies that suffered because the time that I took to actually you'll have noticed that the amount
Yes,
of time I committed
of course.
to law society or to human rights clinic took away my attention from study. So
Indeed,
you
indeed.
could see that there was a dip in my grades as soon as I took those positions, and then worst was when I became a candidate.
that was
Now I
that's
couldn't
the worst.
study.
That's
That
the
that
worst.
was worse. Yes, I
That's the
mean
worst.
you couldn't
Uh,
study. You
I,
have to campaign in the morning on campus.
yes.
You have to campaign in the evening, and at night. In fact, we were on campus, so you have to go room to room,
I mean,
campaigning and
I could imagine
completely
yours.
of yourself.
It could have been worse because the fact that you guys were on campus and the kind of politics and student politics we practice on campus, that would have been, that could have been worse. I'm telling you. I've always admired my opponent because she was a lady, the lady I ran with in 2019. I was a candidate for the student union, and she was a lady.
Okay.
And at times I have to sit at home and see, because it will take all of your time. You have no time to study. I can remember the other day we had a meeting. We had a meeting. The meeting started from 12 o'clock in the afternoon. We were there till I think it was 3 a.m. in the morning that the meeting ended. And the following day I was supposed to go and write my equity and trust exam. So it's always difficult to balance student politics. However, that makes you stronger, I believe. So thank you very much for that wonderful inspirational story there. Idris Amomo, a LLB student, LLB 4 student, said the St. Edward's L and DS is still the best around. So how could you agree with that?
That's actually that's true. Again, I'm trying to be a bit dispassionate when I say this. Erod's L&DS is basically a model of its own. I mean, when you go to sixth form or you go to SS, they grill you. You have it's compulsory. It wasn't like basically I'm not going for L&DS. You go there, you participate, you come home, you want to impress, you research, you get there. They'll try to embarrass you because it's part of the training process when you're being embarrassed in your public speaking. So you could see, I mean, Edwards has produced really, really good lawyers. And most of the people that I know who went to St. Edwards eventually became lawyers because that's what they really train you. They were very, very proud of that ability to grill and train people and ensure that, people understand that public speaking is part of the school, and it remains to be the same. And the way they did it really was good. It has to be debate, it has to be reading news off the cuff, answering questions. You will just be basically pointed at for your contribution. So there were no passive members in St. George's. People like Solomon Jamiro, you could see them, Imran Silla, Baba Silla. These are guys they were there. They were like, when we were at St. George's, you will have people leave FBC who were in their final year just to go and watch, just to go and ensure that the standard and quality of the L&Ds was maintained. And I think it was a blessing. It was really a blessing to go there and participate and go through the rites of passage. And I never regretted it.
All right, good. Your story is very, very inspiring. I must confess. You mentioned your days at Froggie College. How can you are now a lecturer at Froggie College? How can you compare your days to our own days as students at Froggie College?
Completely different. Completely different. I see these days students do the things they want to do. I see students go to class with slippers or t-shirts. Nowadays, you will not dare do that. You have to dress like lawyers all the time. You will not dare not be in a class if the lecturers were coming. You get to class, you are half dead because you know that these lecturers were like hot. They know the stuff, and there was a particular tactics that I didn't appreciate, and that's why I try to be completely different. I think there was too much tension in the students, you know, when they get into the class because of the embarrassment, intimidation. They were afraid of their lecturers. Um, I don't want people to be afraid of me when I teach. I want respect. I want us to have interaction. That's why you see I try to get students to participate, and people who attend classes who participate will get an extra grade, and there was also at the law department, when we were there, there was what we called, I don't know whether it was true, the guys who taught us would tell you, we thought there was an intention, an orchestrated plan for people to fail, and it was intimidating. At some point, people gave up. I remember when we were in year two, we were 32 in number. By end of the first semester, we were only 28. People have dropped out. They couldn't continue. They left the tensions, and even myself, point I said, I said, I don't give it, and the intimidation was too much. But it's my hope that at some point in time, these things will really change, and it's my hope that I will also help change those things.
Okay, that's quite inspiring, Mr. Saffa Abdulai. Um, if you want to be part of this program, you can comment live on Facebook, and we'll get to read your comment. If you have anything to ask the lecturer, who is our studio guest for today, you can as well ask him. He's here at service. And now let us go post Froggie College. You mentioned Oxford. How's life at Oxford?
Oxford was completely strange. It was completely different.
Yes.
Firstly, I think it was in 2005. It was my first time to the UK. I can tell you, there's a funny part of it. I've never been to the UK, and when I got all of this admission into the program, I got these emails, and I kept skipping the emails. I couldn't read all of these long emails, and then I dressed like normal, and I got to London, and it was winter. The first time I got out of the airport, like I had to run back into the airport. It was like I was dropped into a deep freezer. Like I couldn't believe it. It was so cold, and Oxford was just completely different. The independence of a student, right? The independence of a student. You have to be very independent. They give you a map. When you get to this bus station, you get off, you walk 10 minutes, and you go to your dormitory, you ask for, there's no one to run to help you. You greet people and you ask them, they can, because I was at Oriel College in Oxford. They could just point me down the road. That Oriel College was down the road. And I got in and I was knocking at the door, and the porter couldn't even hear because it was those heavy wooden doors. If you've read Macbeth, if you watch Macbeth, you could see, or if you have, there is a particular program, what is it called? This movie that they acted at Oxford. I've forgotten the funny movie, but you
Harry
could see that
Potter.
the doors were Harry Potter. Harry
Yes,
Potter.
Harry
Yeah,
Potter was
it's
acted at
pretty, yeah, yeah.
Oxford.
That's pretty changed doors and wooden. And then someone said you have to ring the bell, and I had to ring the bell, and the door was open, and I was carrying my suitcases on my own. Like there's nobody to help you. But also, I mean, there's so much independence. The lecturers come into the class, they don't care about you. They come in, everybody's quiet. They teach. You could be sleeping. They don't care. They teach and they leave. Yes, it's completely different from where I came from, where people have to look at your face. Saffa Abdulai, are you paying attention? Or what is this? They ask questions at Oxford. If no one answers, the lecturer will move on. No. So it was, yeah, like completely different.
Mr. Abdullah, may I hold you there? Miss Haja been to see the Sako is asking a
Uh-huh.
question. What are the
Uh-huh.
skills and qualities that make you a good lecturer? That's a good one.
Well, I don't know what makes you a good lecturer, but I think that one of the things you try to do is to communicate.
Good.
Your students have to be at ease and you have to be able to communicate. Importantly, you have to know what you teach. You can't become a lecturer if you don't know what you teach. And I think the era that we studied law, where we were afraid to talk to people, to our lecturers, should be no more. People should be approachable, should be able to have a conversation. And then you just don't teach. Part of your teaching ability is to get students pass. If they fail in greater numbers, then you failed yourself.
Good.
You should be able to communicate
Th- th-
to the students to the
this is
point
this is
where
the
they pass.
best. I think it will be the best thing that we've had as students, because quite frankly, you have lecturers who are with the determination that you must fail. You have lecturers who take pride in failing you. People will go to class and will say, "I've failed all of you." They don't tell you that. I mean,
Well,
in the modern days of of no of of um, technology, people will take pride in failing people. People will be shouting here and there, "I've failed, I've failed, I've failed." In fact, out of class of 199, 98 have failed my exams, and they will be happy for that.
well, I don't want to. I mean, in all fairness, I don't want to talk about other people. I talk about my approach, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people would agree with me. I mean, The guys who were teaching at the lecturers who were teaching at the FBC law department are great guys, very intelligent. Some are far more intelligent than I am, that I will ever be. My hope is that we could all sit down and talk about the approach to teaching. Like I said, I mean, we all have different approaches, and I have my own approach. And I think that I went through hell at FBC, and I will tell you, I was president of two societies. I could miss class. I was class rep when I was in final year. I think I don't know whether I was. I didn't think I was. I was class rep when I was in final year. No, I was class rep when I was in third year. So I interacted with lecturers, and I felt really, really afraid approaching people, approaching lecturers, and I don't want that to happen to students when they approach me. I want students to come to me and talk to me in a very respectful way. There's no barrier. There should be no barrier between me and my students. And the only thing is, don't ask me to do anything unethical. I don't do unethical things. I don't have any interest in any student. I pick up papers when I'm marking them. Don't look at the names. I don't want to be part of any divide. Whether you are from China, you are a student. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me who you are. I look at your papers and I grade them. And people who know me will tell you that. There are people you go to, they will tell you if it's Saffa Abdulai that is teaching that module, you have to try because we can't approach it. Because you can't approach me. That's why I try to make things very easy for students. If you attend all my classes, you get 10%.
Okay.
You take a test, you get 10%. You do an assignment, you get 10%. It's very easy for you to get 30% or 28%, 27% on continuous assessment. If you don't have that, then that's your own problem. It's not my problem. You are not ready to proceed. And it's not that I also go out purposely to just pass people. No, that's not it. I try to give you the opportunity to
maintain
learn
standards
and to ensure that you pass on your own. Yes, so there's no issue about Saffa Abdulai in class easy log, but no, that's not how I do it. It's
Okay.
just that I will ensure that you pass, and that's what I try to do. But if you fail, you will fail.
Several colleagues are asking about your life at law school. So how was your life at the Sky Law School?
I see Bokari is asking me about what he's saying. Bokari, can he share the life? Law school wasn't very bad. I mean, we had a couple of intimidating experiences at law school. Few lecturers were still intimidating us, but the rest of the guys were good because at law school you're just one step from being a colleague. So some amount of respectability is returned. And in all fairness, I was working when I went to law school. I was working for my NGO, and so I had to try to balance my NGO work and study. So it was pretty much difficult. Those who were studying were okay. Who were studying day and night. I had to fend for myself. So it was pretty much about working and at the same time studying. But there were great guys also who were teaching us. In fact, Justice Bankole Thompson was the director of the law school when we were there, and he is very progressive, advanced, erudite judge. He understands things. People like JFK, Joseph Kamara were teaching us. They were good guys. They wanted people to interact. You could stop them and ask them. I remember once or twice, because I had a master's degree in international human rights law. Joseph Kamara was not there. I could step up to explain concepts me and my colleagues could discuss. And he came once. He walked into the class, and he was quite happy about it. So I mean, I think with our era, things started changing. It's becoming more competitive because of the number. I think in that class we were not up to 40. And even at that, it was kind of very an outcry that, oh, you guys are too many in this class. I won't talk about 200 students or 150 students. There were some Cameroonians who had joined us apparently. So that is it for law school. Someone asked me how many cases I've won. I've won too many cases to remember how many.
I don't wanted to bring that up. I ended up.
No. I mean, I think Bokari is asking how many cases you've won.
Yes.
Bokari, I have won too many cases to remember how many. I have won. I could name cases that, you know, I, I haven't lost too many cases, I think. And I have been practicing for about 10 and a half years to 11. I could count the cases that I've lost, but it's not about bragging about how many cases you won or lost. A lawyer is as good as your case.
Yes,
A
good.
lawyer is basically, I tell my, I work on Charlotte Street and I meet these guys on at the junction who do this dollar trading or other stuff. I said, look, me self not commissioner like you. We are lawyers. The only difference is that we put on court. We sell property, we get commission. We write letters, we cover debt, we get commission. You know, so I jokingly say this to them, but essentially the point is, yes, I have won too many cases. You could ask Tambayo, you could ask Jonathan Lee, you ask too many people. And landmark cases that I have won, on constitutional law. You also ask about my specialty. I think I am more of a survivor. I will tell you guys that there is aspect of survival, and I do commercial practice. I have my colleague in the law firm who is the specialist in commercial practice, and I learn from him because that's where the money is. That's where the money is. You do corporate practice. So I want to do constitutional law. I want to do human rights law. I want to do criminal law where there is no much money. Um, but essentially,
Viewers,
Uri,
yes,
did I lose you?
yeah, shortly, but we are back.
Okay.
The internet is really a mess, but we are back.
Yeah, it is. But it's okay. I mean, we can just try to manage, and I
Yeah,
guess few
we can.
people are still online.
Yeah, people are online.
Um, somebody is asking, Leslie is asking, is being a good lawyer about mastering grandiloquence or simplicity? I think it's simplicity. I mean, if I was using big grammar right now, you won't understand what I'm saying, Leslie. I don't see any reason why people should be speaking big grammar. You can't communicate. The judge wants you to communicate. You have to simplify the law for the judge. And that's the essential part of it. And you have to ensure that you are very lucid in your explanation. You have to link the facts to your case. If you are throwing grammar and nobody understands you, then you're going to be losing cases because the judge is not going to take a dictionary to begin to look at your big words and or your grandiloquent just for you to survive. So I mean, there is no need, absolutely no need for you to blow grammar.
Okay, I'm struggling of getting you back to the broadcasting software. But however, let me take an opportunity to ask you this question. I think we can hear you loud and clear.
But
Um,
I think you are the only you are the only person who is on. I can
yes,
see on
because I
Facebook that
am
you are the only
struggling.
one there.
I am
Okay,
struggling to
okay,
get
but
you
they can
back.
hear it.
Yeah, they can. Let me see if I've. It's really embarrassing this country. Uh, I have
No,
to.
it's okay. We have
I
to
have
live
to.
with what we have.
I have to add another source. Game capture. Let's go. Okay, I think we are here. We are here now. Okay. All right. Let go. So the question I would love to ask you is your football life. Someone is bringing it up that there are stories that you played professional football in Sierra Leone. So take us through that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, in fact, I grew up playing football. Like I said, I grew up playing street football. I grew up playing mini league. So I played football basically everywhere. I mean, every little corner of this country. I had different names when I was growing up. People called me Filippo Inzaghi, Alexander Del Piero, Christian Vieri, called me all kinds of names because I was fond of trying to score goals. And I think I did score goals. I played at Brookfields, where you have, there was a field where you have Brookfields here by U building where you have China House now.
Yes.
There was a football field and Brookfield Harbor. I played on Fort Street, the Red Field. So we played in community leagues. We played for Sujatong, and it was quite exciting growing up. Unfortunately, because I was really that focused on going to school, I couldn't pursue my football career. There was nothing in football. I mean, in fact, those days when we were growing up, those who were playing football were regarded as dropouts.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, and So, my our people, we always say you have to go to school, and going to school was paramount for us, rather than um, um, going to school was the paramount thing to do. So, when I went, I played for government model for 2 years, school league. We didn't do well. We were a small school. I played football in St. Rods. Then I went to FDC. I played for Bibury Hall, wonderful Bibury Hall, and that's something people have to understand.
Yeah.
Bibury was the strongest hall, and we won a lot of trophies for Bibury. I played for FBC team too. Um, Many times we will beat Jala. Jala, nothing. We match. We bobo them. We just beat them how we want. It's quite good. And so, interestingly, it was when I left Froggie College, almost in my late 20s or mid 20s, that I actually played professional football. So I joined Old Edwardians Football Club, and I played as a striker, and I scored a couple of goals. I was getting older now. The energy had gone, but could still manage to score goals. I played quite a number of games for Old Edwardians, and then I became chairman of Old Edwardians Football Club. I am still chairman of Old Edwardians Football Club before I eventually last year took over the Premier League board to organize the Premier League. So I have a little bit of a small, just little small CV on football.
Good. So, Mr. Saffa Abdulai, there is this misconception down there about the law department at Froggie College. I mean, over the years, we've seen the performance at law school, and that Unimac and these other new schools are doing better than we guys up here at Froggie College. So,
Bless you. Are you there?
yeah, yes, can you hear me? Please don't call. People are trying to call.
Okay, you're talking about Unimac and others.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. As I was saying, there is this um, there is this misconception. I've always said it's misconception because I've seen Froggie College as an epitome of legal knowledge as far as Sierra Leone is concerned, and that we have the people, we have the I'm a student. I have to be I have to be biased in asking this question. So,
Mm-hmm.
what do you
Mm-hmm.
think is the future of the law department?
Well, look, I'll tell you something, and this is very important. I think Fairbairn College is the best university in Sierra Leone, no matter what people say, no matter how the younger ones are thriving to be. However, Fairbairn College needs to reform. The university needs a lot of innovation to meet the emerging, needs of people, including the law department. Um, the new departments have come in an era where technology and innovation, it's part of education and progress, and they are embracing that quickly. And I'm pretty sure the leadership at FBC and the leadership at the law department will continue to embrace innovative ideas like these to ensure that we meet the standards that is required. um, One of the things that I always try to say, we have to try to depoliticize education.
Good.
And I say this in a very broad sense. University is university. University should focus on producing educated people. The law school has its own issues. They will decide who they take or who not to admit into the law school. But as a university, producing graduates should be our predominant focus. And the politicians should not be sitting somewhere influencing which school from which region comes first or which student comes first just to score political points or political goals. And I say this very broadly. And I know why I'm saying this, and I don't want to go into specifics. And also, the law department is the law department. Those who are interested, lawyers who are interested in academics should be teaching there, and they should give a lot of time to ensure that we produce. But certainly, FBC remain to be the so-called Athens of West Africa, or the biggest learning institution. And I say this being very biased, also myself, having gone to FBC and now teaching at the
So
department.
someone is challenging that assertion. Idrissa Momo said Unimac is more,
Mm.
it's much more structured now than FBC, 100%. Idrissa Momo, I beg to take the
I,
strongest of exceptions. Yes, because
Or I mean, maybe Idrisa has been there, but I don't know about that. Um, um, I don't know about it. I haven't been to Unimac. Um, I hope they are doing what people are saying they're doing, and I will be very excited to know that the school is doing more than FBC, so FBC will reform and catch up.
good.
But as far as I know, I mean FBC law department. Yeah, so FBC is doing well. We need to have independent institutions to actually assess these institutions. It is not as a result of whatever gimmicks or whatever it is. It is course content, the standards that we produce, you know, it is not even about how many students from FBC pass in law school or how many students from Unimac or from Jala pass in law school, because I mean these are things that have been questioned in the past. I don't know the veracity of the doubt, and I can't speak on them, but you need to have a kind of an education commission or tertiary education commission to begin to assess which school is the best. And it's good to grade these schools because it's good for people to know that you are not doing well, or for someone who is an administrator at any of these universities to know that they are going to grade the university during my tenure. I need to do things, there are benchmarks that I should meet that will allow my school to be top, just like you have Harvard, Yale, Oxford, MIT, they're leading the world. If you come in from those schools, you'll be in class as a very good student, as a top notch.
Okay, Mr. Abdullah, at this juncture, I'm pleased to inform you that as a society, we've taken the lead through innovation. We are almost 90% now from transforming the entire department into a digital department through the guidance of you people. Because I remember quite vividly in every of my step, I keep informing you, I keep asking you for guidance, and you keep guiding me along the way. We've had a website. We are currently developing the mobile app. The reason for the delay is because we want the Apple users to also benefit from that mobile app. So, how do you see the future of the law society or the law department in all these new transformation and innovation that we are bringing up as students in our own little corner?
Yeah, so essentially, I think you guys are doing brilliantly. I like the first time I met you, I know there is something in it that we will have to learn from you. And, I could see myself 16 to 18 years ago in you. I was trying to push for change. It was those days when everything, change was an insult. Change was being disrespectful. Change was not wanting to focus on your study. You are quite fortunate, Wuri, to meet people like us, like Rashid, like the dean and the head of environment, who are saying, let's go, let's go.
Yes,
It's
yes,
very good that the law society is doing what it's doing. I know that the law department as a whole is going to have its own institutional website
yes,
too,
yes,
with all of the formal stuff which we are working on. But this is really, like, this excites me. It's really phenomenal for you guys to have done it at your level, and we are able to talk to students from our homes. And we have to understand that the new normal now is that it's technology. I mean, with COVID and all of these things happening, it's going to be technology. I can also assure you that in some of the meetings that I have attended with the university, they want us to go digital.
yes,
You're right.
yes,
They've asked few of us, the head of department, Mr. Fonasise, Rashid Dumboya, myself, Dr. Bangura, who's gone back to Australia. They've really asked us to develop a master's program in short courses. And some of these masters and short courses are going to be taught online with online platforms. So it's something we have to catch up as a school. We have to catch up as a university, or else we'll be left behind. And I think the university authorities are quite open towards doing this. They're quite excited about it. And learning from what you guys have just done, like I said, it's always good to learn from someone who started something, no matter the level of the age, or you say they're a student. You guys have done something that we need to learn from in building our own platforms, in
Yes.
building our own forums, I mean, our own fora for various departments at the university. And I think we just have to do it. And I think it's really exciting for you guys to have done what you've done.
It's been a wonderful time with you. We had a beautiful. I know everybody out there enjoyed your wonderful submission and inspiration. So far, so good. Um, I would want to say again, thank you very much for joining us in this program. But before I leave you this evening, I would want you to take what would be your advice to us as students coming up now with all these zeal and enthusiasm, to be up there to get to the level of Harvard, Oxford, etc. So, what would be your advice to us? What role can we play as students, and what will make us? The question any law student would ask: what will make us to be better lawyers tomorrow, and to contribute to society?
So clearly, for you to be a better lawyer, is that you have to know the legal stuff. You have to study hard. There are no two ways about it. You have to study and know the concept and know the law, because you will not be a lawyer if you don't know the law. You will not be a good lawyer if you don't know the law. Some lawyers have survived learning on the job. When you're a lawyer, you learn on the job, but it takes you too long. And as a student, your predominant occupation really is to study, and I have said this to many of the students that I supervise, to those that I teach. I get to class and I see people hanging out, and I say, focus on your study. You can, part of your growth process is to participate in activities like this, Law Society, Human Rights Clinic, is to join clubs. But the only reason why you're a student is because you're supposed to be studying. So focus on that. And then once that is done, you won't have problems with grade point average. You won't have problems going to law school. You won't have problems with understanding legal concept. And once the department is delivering lectures, they're delivering quality education, then there should be no problem. I am also very excited of the prospect that you guys are, we're all working on ideas of bringing books for the department, for library issues. I know that last year I was able to facilitate through the Silent Pro Bono Lawyer Network 2,000 books for Jala University.
Wow.
I'm still working on the Froggie College consignment. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that, in the coming months, or maybe or half a year. But essentially, you go to schools, you go to Harvard, you go to Yale, you meet more students in the libraries than you meet them hanging around. And that's what is important. It's not about when it's time for student politics, they go to auditoriums, they listen to their candidate, and they vote. You don't find students out there pelting motherly invectives on people. You don't find students demonstrating on every little thing. Now, here is the thing. I have been at the department for 2 years, and I noticed the other day I was speaking to a female student in the class. I said, I saw you in a demonstration. And she said, yes, but it wasn't law department demonstration. What were you doing there? Right? It wasn't your concern. What were you even doing there?
Yeah.
Now there is always a need for students to have a better facility to learn. But we have to understand that the existing structures are still very limited. So the demands and the interruptions that you guys make will have to tell on you. And this is one of the reasons why you see, even during COVID, I'm trying to push the dissertation writing, because it's going to be you guys who are going to spend more years waiting for your turn to go to law school.
Yes.
If the dissertations are not done on time. So right now, put everything aside. There is a part of my undergrad degree was I studied English language and sociology. There is a sociological concept called deferred gratification. Enjoyment, the gratification that you get from something, you defer it for the future. All of the things you want to do, you want to be a gangster, you want to be on social media, you want to be politically involved, defer them. They could wait. Be a lawyer first. When you become a lawyer, you are everything. You know, even if let's be jovial about it. Even if you want multiple girlfriends, you get it. Multiple boyfriends, you get it. You already have a status in society when you become a lawyer. You are nothing when you don't become a lawyer. I mean, when I say you are nothing, you go to law school, you fail, then you are nothing. You will have gone to all of the best clubs on campus. You have gone to the nicest beaches with your colleagues. You'll have gone to the nightclubs. But at the end of the day, if you don't become a lawyer, your colleagues are going to move on, and you're not going to be anybody, except you will have to go and start again and do something with your life. But in society, they're going to look at you as a dropout.
Right.
So I always say this: go
Right.
to class in the morning, do what you have to do, and take exams, take tests, and ensure that when that is out of the way, then you can do merriment. As far as I'm concerned, that's the good advice that I have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abdullah. But before you go, someone asked the question. So when likely will the master's program start, sir?
I think the principal of Froggie College wants it to start next semester, next year,
Right
and
away.
he's been pushing. And like I said, there is already a team working on the outline. We haven't agreed on how many programs we're going to introduce, whether it's going to be the entire master's curriculum that other schools do, or we're going to focus on commercial and constitutional law. We're still having those conversations individually, and then collectively we'll talk about that. I know Dr. Bine had done a draft of the initial curriculum for the master's program. At least that's what he told me, and we're going to try to have copies of it, and sit down and brainstorm and develop that. Apart from that, I think the department also wants to do master's program. Apart from the master's program, they want to do diploma and certificate programs, short programs for professionals in various areas of the law, various thematic areas of the law. So what I heard from the meeting with the principal and the DVC was that they're going to try to do that in next academic year.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a blessing in disguise. By the will of God, we are looking forward to the master's program because it is very expensive to do a master's degree if you're not having a scholarship abroad, and that would be a good one for the country as a whole. So, Mr. Saffa Abdullah, you've been a wonderful guest, and we want to thank you. And also, again and again and again, express our deepest gratitude to you for your service to the department, for your service to the university and to the country as a whole. Thank you very much, sir. May God continue to bless you and your family. Viewers,
Thank you.
this is your program. Meet our tutors. We'll join you back on next week Wednesday at the same time, where we will have another tutor who will come and inspire us, just as how Mr. Saffa, Emmanuel Saffa Abdulai has inspired us this evening. And I think we've all learned from his story, and we are going to be good students, we are going to be good citizens, and we are going to copy from good examples like these people and contribute immensely to society. Thank you for joining us. Until next week, Wednesday, I've been your humble host, Mohamed Uriba, signing off as I was saying in any other normal TV interview. Bye bye, Tata.